Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Okay, so what happens in order to get this Easter egg? This isn't much of an ending. You just click.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television
Go over
screens.
here. Click.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers.
So what you do is you go, you click all three of them,
and
then that elevator comes.
It couldn't be true.
And
Had
then
Stanley really been under
what happens
someone's
is
control all this time? Was
everything
this the
will
only reason
happen.
He was happy with his boring
Elevator
job,
arrived,
that his
doors will open.
emotions had been manipulated to
But instead of
accept
getting
it
on,
blindly?
I shouldn't talk with the narration. I'm sorry. What happens is you sit and you wait here, and at first you'll think, well, maybe something happened and it didn't load right, because it does take a while. But the gate does open, and what you do is you need to go back to the first button and push it and see what happens. Yeah, so it does take a while. I don't know if anyone's ever played the original Stanley Parable, but in the original there weren't as many monitors. Oh, it's open. It was like just one wall of like maybe 12 TV sets, and you know, like the old 4x3 ones, like almost like computer monitors in this building. And we push this one. And this happens. And there's a variety of different secrets all the way. Never give up on your secret Secret Rooms 2014. Mystical Secrets. William hides the best secrets. A whole bunch. And the color sort of dances around. It doesn't really do much. I don't know if it unlocks like the screens. I don't know why they're not changing. Colors. Yep, that's what.
No. He refused to believe
I got in there
He
too soon.
couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control. Never.
Okay, we're gonna go back to clicking the inputs. Yeah. So I think my computer's next. Nope, not mine. Okay, I hope
All of his co-workers
continuing
were
it didn't
gone. What could it mean?
reset something.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting
Not
room.
this one.
Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Good. Input received. That was about. Ooh, weird hallway. Anyways, and then the last one, you just click on Stanley's regular computer. Yep. Before we do that, I just want to see if we'll
Stanley
catch
decided to go to the meeting
this
room
Easter
to check
egg.
on his
I'll
co-workers.
try to see if I
He
can
never
catch it
functioned
on.
well by himself and constantly needed support and guidance from others. So the thought of total solitude was terrifying to him.
Aww. Aww. Okay. Good. Input received. Now it takes us to this place. This is heaven. Not exactly biblically accurate, but nonetheless, it's also kind of glitchy. It's supposed to say heaven. But Stanley will spend eternity doing what he loves, pushing buttons, and nothing really happens here. I want to show you another sort of ending in this game. There's like a ton I could show you.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the voting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
I don't know. Anyway, what you do is you run here.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he
You
couldn't
kind of
find a
jump up on
trace of
his
his
desk.
co-workers.
Maybe you crouch. Can't jump in this game. Oh. And what you do is you go out here, Oh, this doesn't look right. Must be glitchy. Huh?
At
I...
first,
Oh,
Stanley assumed he'd broken the map until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along. He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be? Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all in? Okay, I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag yet?
and this sort of appears sort of behind him. We can click yes or no.
Well, I don't know how to say this politely, but you could literally just hit escape and restart the game any old time you want, like right now. You could have done it just then. Now would also be an appropriate time to quit. Any of these points and so many, many more, all of them are appropriate. I'm enjoying what seems to be an internal conflict going on where you are literally unable to act on your own desires to restart the game. So just to push the envelope, I'm going to try and make this as miserable as possible and see how long you can maintain. There once was a man named Stanley, who people considered so manly. But the truth must be told, he was not very old and was quite particularly gangly. What Stanley liked most was buttons. He pushed them like some kind of glutton. He did it all day in a meaningful way, but his brain had long ceased to function. Which is why he is in this parable and lives an existence quite terrible. And if you are not strong and keep playing along, you too will become quite unbearable.
And then just sort of continues on with this.
Unbearable.
Oh. It continues on with this guitar strumming for eternity, basically. At least I think it does. You never know with this game. Anyway, let's click no and see what happens.
Then in that case, we'll continue. But now, here comes the real question. What do you think would have happened if you had told me that you wanted this to stop? Do you think it would have been particularly different? Would I have taken the same idea but rephrased it superficially to fit that answer? Perhaps you never would even have thought of it if I hadn't brought up the issue in the first place. Oh, now think about it. Will it be worth it for you to restart and then come back here just to do the other option? Clearly, this whole gag takes some time. What if the other option is even longer? How long will you spend in total just to have heard all the narration? Oh, and this is rich. Perhaps you've just played the other option, and now you've come to see what happens in this one. So, what do you think? Which choice was the better one?
I don't know.
Imagine if you had selected continue on your first playthrough, how tantalizing it would be not knowing what happens when you pick the other option. Indeed, you are one of the lucky ones. Though if the other option is really miserable to listen to, then perhaps you're not. In fact, I'm just going to say that no one who's listening to this is lucky. Well now, I've built up the other options so much that I'm going to stop talking and leave you to your decision whether to come back here, continue with the game, or just sit in this spot forever and ever. Cheers.
I don't know, I think I like this one better. What happens if I click? No. Alright, I just want to try to find that character again. Oh, I'm giving it away of what it is I'm looking for. I've seen on other people's walkthroughs the loading screen is many times fast. Maybe they're speeding it up? I don't know.
Someone was following Stanley. He was sure of it. If he checked over his shoulder now, he would surely catch them. It was only a matter of time.
You know, I was telling my brother, what's his YouTube channel? My brother. Kilo Delta. I was telling him that would have been an excellent place to have, Slenderman right behind you. That would have been funny. Narrator goes, whoops! Looks like I was right. That explains the papers. Another thing I would have thought would have been funny if they added in the game, where, if they had a bit where, during that one, the confusion ending when you get lost, wouldn't it be funny